God's all loving and all forgiving, and you can't do anything to make God mad at you. That's what you're supposed to be doing in business. You're supposed to be helping people.
People of the world, welcome to Moral Marketing. Today I am over the moon, rainbows and unicorns, extremely happy. We have someone who has inspired me from her near-death experience. Fans of the show know that I cannot get enough of these incredible stories because they are evidence to me that love and compassion is the answer in every circumstance. Today, we're going to be diving into how we can bring love and compassion, and dare I say, even God, into a business context with our guest today. Kathy McDaniel is the author of the memoir, MISFIT in Hell to Heaven, EXPAT. While dying from lung failure in 1999, she was placed on a ventilator and put into a drug-induced coma. A distressing near-death experience occurred, and although mostly traumatic, she also experienced the overwhelming bliss of heaven, which shifted her religious beliefs to a deep spirituality. Kathy credits the members of IANDS, which is the International Association for Near-Death Studies, for her eventual integration of the Distressing NDE and the ability to accept the sacred mission that caused her reluctant return to Earth. She now shares her experience and its message as a guest on various media and via her memoir, MISFIT in Hell to Heaven, EXPAT. Ladies and gentlemen, Kathy McDaniel.
Yay! Hi. So happy to be on this show. Thank you so much.
So we were chatting a little bit backstage about the world of business. And it feels like near-death experiences, very quickly, if you haven't listened to Kathy's near-death experience in its entirety, I'm going to commit the cardinal sin of asking you to go click on the link in the description and go watch it. If you have seen it, heard it already, she's told it a million times. It's absolutely fantastic. We'll be touching on it here and there throughout the show, but I'm going to make the assumption that you have listened to it. So go ahead and check that out first. But Kathy, having gone to hell, for lack of a better word, and back to heaven, a lot of folks walk away with the assumption that, or the knowledge that love and compassion is the answer. Is that fair to say that you've arrived at that conclusion?
Yes. When I got back, I said I need a summation of all of this to share, and I was told all we have to do is be loving, kind, merciful, forgiving, encouraging, grateful, non-judgmental, and useful. So that's what I try to do now with the rest of my life here.
And so there's this notion that the mundane is purely that. Oh, I'm just driving in traffic going to my job, right? It's not that big of a deal if I need to weasel into this lane real quick. So where do you fall on just the micro moments throughout our day, letting someone ahead of us in line, you're at the coffee shop, your interaction with the barista, these sorts of things?
You're right on. I mean, I treat people differently. I try and see their souls because I think another thing that has been made clear to me is besides our differences, color, creed, religion, whatever, we are all the same soul, which has no color, it has no nationality. So once you look at other people as just being an extension of God, just like you are, it's easier to be kind and loving in any situation, even if they look funny or they smell funny or they're talking funny. They're souls and they've chosen to come down and be with us. And I don't know, there's more of a brotherhood feeling now.
Yes, so on to business. In my experience, both in small business and in the corporate world, ye shall not speak of religion is the cardinal rule, at least in the top 5 of things We're okay talking about respecting one another, right? We can talk about, oh, let's have it be professional. The word professional is thrown out a lot, but do not love your coworker. Makes sense? So, to what degree do you believe we can do a better job of love and compassion within a workplace?
I had my own business for 11 years. I was a property management, and I went from the premise of housing the homeless, which is one of the 8 Beatitudes. I found that helping people, especially people who are having trouble, maybe I don't know, their demeanor wasn't up to snuff, or back then somebody was in a wheelchair and nobody would rent to him. It was going to be a problem. Or elderly people that were on fixed income, I would find them housing. So I think no matter what your job is, you can be helpful to humanity. You can be kind to the people that come in that are your customers. You can be kind to one another. You can be patient with your boss. There's opportunities at every turn just to be a good person. And that, I think, really, I find, encourages other people to be a little less guarded and be a little less light. I mean, more light to the world. And it's contagious. Being friendly is contagious.
So, is it possible that we can love our coworkers and love our clients?
Definitely. That's our duty as humans, I think. That's why we're here. There's a purpose. The purpose is not to make money. The purpose is to be loving and kind.
So, a lot of folks that have NDEs will describe a life review. You're familiar?
Oh yeah.
So, I'm trying to recall specifically after you had gotten into heaven, did you have a life review?
No, they kicked me out too soon. I did not get that privilege. Most people say it's fascinating, I mean, you don't think of yourself on a day-to-day, minute-by-minute basis, especially when like me in your 70s, for crying out loud. But it's supposed to be like this movie thing, and you get to see from the time you're conceived, I'm told, all the way up to end time. And then the purpose of it really is just to show you how you did, because I believe we plan our lives, and the people we'll run into are soulmates, and like we're doing right now. Um, and so you kind of want to say, well, I see that my purpose was to do this, this, and this, and then you get a chance to kind of review it. The flip side of that is they turn it around, and now you get to feel how it was to interact with you. And so the people that you cut off in traffic, you're going to get to get that feeling from them. And the ones that you were kind, the guy at work that was falling behind, that you said, hey, let me help you with that. Okay. You'll get to feel his gratitude. So, yeah, the whole thing makes you look at life differently. It really does. You're not the same after you've been over there.
I believe if I could instill one message into humanity, it would be the life review, that it's coming.
Yeah. I've said that many a time. Well, I'll be with one of my friends that, we all believe the same thing now, and then something will happen. They'll say, life review. That's how you let it go. You don't have to do anything but just, not you'll get yours kind of thing, but you'll understand. That person will understand that was not a nice thing to do.
I do believe that there is justice, whether we see it or not. And so here's a business related question that I'm excited to ask you. As the owner of Send It Rising Internet Marketing, a digital marketing agency, my clients will come to me and they'll say, we got a 1-star review on Google. And they are very upset. They're sad about it. They are going to respond as the owner. it really affects them deeply. And the person who left that 1-star review also clearly is looking to educate potential future customers of this business in regards to what could potentially happen to them. From the near-death experience life review perspective, would it be ethical to leave a 1-star review? How does that work? Do you see what I'm saying? The nuance of sort of warning people of a potential problem. Where does that fall in your morality?
Well, as long as it's the truth, as long as you're not coming from a place where you want to punish this guy because you've got a vendetta somehow. But the truth, I think how you couch that remark is important. To be accurate, but not snarky. That would be my advice.
That's good advice. There was this incredible guru named Neem Karoli Baba who taught Ram Dass, who was very famous for the book Be Here Now in the 60s, who I love. And Neem Karoli Baba used to tell all of his devotees, is the word they use, love everyone and tell the truth.
Yeah. Yeah. You can't go wrong.
So on the tell the truth side, do you believe then in that 1-star review, if they were to say, look, I'm open to being wrong about this, right? Or maybe I don't understand the full picture about this, but this is my perspective of what happened. That sort of language that would help.
I don't think that I might be wrong about this is necessary. I think that this is my perspective. I felt they didn't pay attention to me, or it seemed, it doesn't have to be curse words. I think when you come from a feeling standpoint, people are more likely to listen.
Now, when you went to hell, one of the things I'll often talk to my friends about is it appears to me, based on the NDEs I've listened to, that the language itself down there is cursing. Is that a fair way of describing it?
Well, there is no real hell. I manifested that. I really believe that. It's been 25 years now, and I've talked to innumerable people about it. And I've got my own, sharing group of us distressing people. And statistically speaking, about 85% of us are recovering Catholics. Who who Catholicism is famous for its guilt trips. And we were taught that no matter what, even though Jesus died for your sins, you're going to still have to pay for stuff that you did. And we all believed it because we heard that from the time we were children. And so I believed that when I died, I'd end up in purgatory. So I made one. And I took all the terrible things that ever happened to me and I made them bigger and better. And then I got out and came back, and they sent me back to tell people, skip the trip. God's all loving and all forgiving, and you can't do anything to make God mad at you. We're all part of God. God can't get mad at God. So when we talk about hell, there are hellish experiences on earth. That's all you can call it. And but that's not God's doing. That's something that's painful to think about, but we chose because we needed to learn a lesson, or we're helping another soulmate learn a lesson. And again, heaven is not earth. Earth is very different. And I think it's a school, it's a play. It's not real. I mean, the real us wakes up when we go on the other side, kind of like the Matrix or something. No, there's no real hell. I know there's negative energy out there. I know there's, if you want to say evil, because if you got positive, you got negative, energy can't be destroyed or created. So this energy, it made its own space, I'm sure, where it hangs out, but I don't think God had anything to do with it.
Mm. So you changed the way that you behave after your NDE, and you had quite a few years of continuing to work after that. That's fair to say, yes?
Mm-hmm.
So, with your relationships inside of the business, did you find yourself more patient? Did you supervise people? And how did that change the way you interacted?
Uh, Basically, I was just at the end of my career when all this happened, and I took a year to get my life back, so I had to kind of back down on that. However, since I've had the book, that's a business. I mean, getting on to podcasts and advertising and social media and all of that, that's a business. And I've managed to start a local writers group in the area, and now we get together once a month and help one another with that. I can still find things to do in business, and they're not about me. They're about helping others. And I've joined a senior center recently down here. The Voice, you get the Voice when you come back, suggesting strongly that you go do things to help people. And that's turned into a place to be kind and loving and patient and encouraging, and started a couple of programs there. And so, no matter what you're doing, whether you're working or retired or in between, it's you that changes. And after a while, like I say, you can't help it. You love it. It feels so good to see somebody's distressed face lighten up because you're going to take some time to help them. And that's what you're supposed to be doing in business. You're supposed to be helping people. And I think your business will do a lot better if people say, I love going in that store. They're so helpful. Or I love working with those people. If something goes wrong, they take care of it right then. And they're very kind about it. So it's good for business.
Do you believe in a boundary in regard to, let's say, a client for, let's just use a personal injury attorney. Let's say that a client comes in and they're hurt and they are starting to cross that line. They're real upset about this, that, and the third, and their language is not positive, and it hasn't been positive for quite a while now. And, some of the staff, let's say, are getting a little uncomfortable, and it's right. So where would a business owner put the hand up, and can that be done in love?
Sure. Just like you're treating a child or an unhappy spouse or a friend. I think that's when you need to be kind. And you say, gosh, Bill, I can see you're so upset. Maybe we can go in my office and close the door and do you need a hug? I mean, that can be inappropriate sometimes, but sometimes you get this person saying, I really do. I really do need a hug. And you just give them just a little time to have some human, you know, kindness, settle them down, because I think sometimes we feel like we're all alone out there, and that's the worst. Thinking nobody cares, nobody understands. Just take a minute. Yeah.
I often am looking at how a company can administer what I refer to and is commonly referred to as cause marketing, which refers to a business saying, hey, look, we're planting trees, right? That's part of our mission. Or we give back to the homeless.
Mhm.
And I actively attempt to incentivize my clients to do that, to get them excited about it. They usually don't.
Sounds like work.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's good of you to do that. it shows the human side of you. And we've got a group that does that. They'll go and say, okay, we're going to have a project, and everybody's going to get involved, and because that's who we are. We give back to the community, and that that goes a long way. When somebody comes in and says, we need $50 to send this kid to camp, or we need this or that, always say yes. Maybe you can't give $50, maybe you can give 10. But I think that really instills in the community that you're part of them, you're for them, you're not just there to get in their wallet.
I'll drive down the 15 here in Las Vegas, and again, following the personal injury particular, because we do have some personal injury clients who I absolutely love. One of the things they'll do is they won't take more money than their clients get, regardless of the circumstances. So I think structurally, there are things that companies can do like that that are just really beautiful and take care of people. So there's those items. When I look at the billboards, the vast majority are, we're really good at what we do. That tends to be the statement, right? God bless them, I get it. We win X number of cases. We're great for these reasons. Look at this amazing settlement we got, right? And I don't see we feed the homeless, or we shelter people, or we do pro bono cases, things of this nature. So marketing to me is synonymous with a business's voice.
Yeah.
If you look at a business like a body, it's just the voice. Where do you think businesses could improve on speaking more love into the world?
You may want to sit down and have a meeting about that and say, we need to look at our reputation. We need to look, how do people look at us? Who are we? What do and get the whole group. I think that's better than having a top down, okay, you guys need to be nicer to each other, damn it. I mean, that's not going to work. I think, I think the upper echelon sets the tone. And if you've got people in the organization that are grumpy and sly and smarmy, you might want to weed them out. Uh, that's not good.
So that brings up a great point, which is, I'll listen to a lot of NDEs, and love and compassion and telling the truth is just at the absolute top of my priority list at all times. And life still happens, right? And so where does say a business owner terminating an employee, how does that fit into like a life review? Can you compassionately, right, say goodbye to a team member?
Well, there's got to be a lot of discussion about it, probably in person with that employee, and find out why they're not fitting in. Maybe it's some other employee is, making their life miserable. I wouldn't just arbitrarily throw somebody out because they're grumpy, but I'd try and find out why. And then maybe if they need to see a therapist or something. I don't know if the business's insurance would encourage that. I don't, again, you've got to be kind and loving to that employee instead of just pitching them out. I didn't mean to mean it that bluntly, but you need to take care of everybody. And if one person is disruptive with, I don't know, you got to think of the whole, and sometimes people have to go.
Right. So this is what I'll often say, I love you, no cake for dinner. So with my beautiful daughter, intelligent, amazing daughter, 10 years old, she will, if she were to come to me at say 9 o'clock at night and say, can I have cake before bed? No. I could not possibly love her more than I love her, and the answer is no.
Right, there you go. Lovingly. Yeah.
Mhm. there was a gentleman at a Christmas party we threw who was drinking too much.
Mhm.
And I came up to him and I said, "Hello, friend. You're drunk, and there are kids around, and I love you. I care about you, right? I want what's best for you." And he goes, "I know, right?" So it's self-imposed, like he knows. And so it's like, so, it's probably best for you to go. Like, can I get you an Uber? Can I, right? And so I'm like walking with him gently out the door and ushering him onto this next step,
Mhm.
but not tolerating, this behavior. And so I often feel like God treats us this way, whether higher self or however that is. But life is
Yeah.
very like that. Like, God will let you bump into a few walls.
Yeah, we've got free will. It's not set in stone. You can change anytime you want.
So let me ask you about the advertisements themselves. I want to get to your thoughts on this. So you've seen hundreds of thousands, probably millions of advertisements in your life. And you may agree that almost all of them are price-based or we're the best, or, is there a more enlightened, loving, and compassionate way for a business to get your attention, still stay in business, but make the world a better place at the same time?
Humor. That's that's the one that gets me. Is it's just a little clever. It's a little self-effacing. It's yeah, humor. That's my favorite. Yeah, if they can get me to laugh, I'm thinking, okay, I can deal with these people.
You make a really good point, because let's take the life review
Mhm.
sort of perspective. That laughter, right? That's yummy, right? That's
Yeah,
delicious. Like,
yeah,
you drive down the highway and you look up and you kind of like giggle to yourself.
yeah.
That's pretty good. I never thought of it that way, because I tend to
Mhm.
go more serious, like help the difficult things, and
Oh.
she's bored. Kathy's bored.
Don't bore me. That's the worst thing you can do
She's
is
over
bore
it.
me.
Hey, but look, I mean, there you go. So genuine laugh, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I often say that the truth is sometimes the funniest thing. Someone will just say the truth and it's so funny, or incredibly profound.
Mhm.
But what I think is also true is sometimes saying the opposite of the truth as a funny, you know what I mean? Like,
Oh, yeah.
right,
It-
is equally as is just juicy.
It's absurd, you say, yeah, well, that was fun. And it wasn't fun, but then everybody gets it. Yes, it's very human.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
So that reminds me of the telepathy that I'll often hear about near-death experiences, how the communication is telepathic. And I feel like, and this is me going a little far out, uh, like a lot of people will refer to it as, oh, you're picking up on facial expressions, you're picking up on this nonverbal communication. But it feels like telepathy sometimes to me. Like when I'm synced with someone, like I kind of know where their head's at. And there's like a vibe to it. So two-part question. Number one, did you experience telepathy on the other side? And number two, do you see how that is sort of in the material world as well, perhaps to a lesser extent?
Oh, yeah. When I figured out where I was, my friend who had died the month before, I'd been taking care of him. We'd been engaged for 7 years. We were very close and we were always playing tricks on each other. But when I kind of came to, I saw him standing there. And like I say, he died the month before. And I thought, oh, shoot, he doesn't know he's dead, Oh God. And I don't want to be the one to tell him because I knew he looked alive. But anyway, he started laughing and I thought, oh, he heard me. I didn't say that out loud. And then he laughed about that. And then he came over and I could hear him say, now, Mary Kay, you got too much left to do, and they threw me out. So yes, that was telepathy there, because you don't really have a body. your spirit, you can recognize one another, but it's really just spirit. And then when you get back, I think it's energy. We're all made of energy. Everything's made of energy. And so when you are clearer, you can tell there's I don't want to say aura, that sounds too hippie. But there's energy where I have sometimes, well, I'll come up, see a friend or whatever, and I say, hey, how's it going? Oh, fine. I'm going, no, it's not. That energy there is saying something's wrong, and sometimes it's even like, how's your daughter? And then she'll say, oh, she's sick. But yes, there's a soul to soul thing that can happen easier.
That's really well said. I think the word empathy gets thrown around a lot to describe that. It's you just, you know, and it's almost like, have you ever seen movies where they'll say something and then there'll be a subtitle what they actually are thinking as they say it,
Yes, it's great.
right? Or it's like that, because that's what's happening. It's this sort of like
Yeah, yeah,
two-part
yeah,
conversation.
yeah. I agree.
Hmm. Okay. All right. So there are so many, because you had said you'd received approximately 2 million views across the NDE story on social media. Was that a fair statement?
Yeah, that's the videos only. I don't know about the ones that are audio only.
Right.
Yeah. And what
And
happens is you're all over the world. I mean, I've been almost everywhere. Wish I had a passport for a stamp for all of those. Yeah. This is important, people. I mean, this is life-changing what happens to us that go on the other side. It makes our lives lighter. It's more fun. You're more um it just changes everything. It's a blessing and a curse because you see the people you love that are still mired in this reality, scared of God and scared to die, and everything terrible happens to them, and I just want to pull the blinders off and let them feel that how loved they are and how wonderful this opportunity to be on earth, no matter how terrible it feels sometimes, it all has meaning. And the most meaning is helping one another. And the empathy thing is very true. Terrible things that happen to you now are going to give you empathy for people that go through it again. And you can honestly say, I know how you feel. And it's going to take years before it gets better. But I'm here if you need a hug. And I'm here to tell you that it's going to get better. And I can't tell you how many times people have said to me, God, I don't know what I would have done if I hadn't run into you today. I was at my wit's end. And hospice, almost all of us that come back go to hospice for I just wanted to be around these people. They were so lucky. They were dying, they were going home, and I was just jealous, and people found that weird. But there was people there that were dying that I was able to say, oh my God, you are so lucky. And their eyes fly open, and you're going to be with God and your friends and your dogs and your cats, and it's wonderful, and you're healthy. And they're going, whoa, really? No kidding. Let me get ready. This is great. Or somebody says, oh, I'm never going to see my mom again. I say, yeah, she's going to be with you now, and you'll see her later. And she turned to her husband and says, I am going to see my mom again. Oh, thank God you were here today. So we help one another. That's why we're here. If you're in a bad space, that's because you're going to be able to use that to help others. It's all good. We say that a lot. It's all good. And people go, you don't know what you're talking about. But it is. It all works for good.
and ladies and gentlemen, that includes your job.
Yes. What an opportunity to be around people. When you're stuck at home, you get limited, but in a job, oh, you've got such opportunities. take them.
And especially when I find that when the difficulty setting is really high, because there is a culture of do not tell your coworkers you love them, right? Do not tell your clients you love them. Don't do it. It's scary. It's too scary. I'll be in meetings with clients and I'll go, guys, I love you and I want what's best for your business.
Mhm.
And that's what it boils down to. That's it. I do. I love you. I love what you're doing, right? I understand how difficult it is. I'm there for you, and I'm going to bring my talents to make that, to make success a reality for you if I'm able to do that. And
Right.
just watching people melt, they
Yeah.
melt
Somebody
because,
cares. Great. Yeah.
so I just, I really want folks who listen to this podcast to show up, because you talked about that sort of victim, mentality just a moment ago, and God bless them. I've got nothing but compassion because I've suffered too, and I've felt it, and I've been there, and I mean, I get it, I get it. But it's like, I quick story. There's a gentleman who I know from a nonprofit who shared in a business meeting that his son jumped off a bridge and killed himself, and he used it as part of a story to describe the power of the nonprofit he was working for. And I saw
Mhm.
him start to tear up. And I had a moment where I had a choice. Am I going to hold back the tears, which would be the standard operating procedure? I'm in a business meeting. You're not supposed to cry in a bit, And I'm like, oh, no, 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 no. This is the time. This is the time. I'm like, bring them on, right? And I didn't even wipe my tears away.
Yeah.
And so I got down on on my knees pretty much, put my hand on his knee, and we cried. And I came back and shed some tears together. I don't care what you don't have to be in a church. You don't have to be in this environment that you think is supposed to be the environment where you connect with another human being. Forget that noise, right? If love is the guiding force behind what you're doing, I don't care if you're on the clock or off the clock.
Yeah, for sure. That brought me to tears.
Mm, isn't
Yeah.
that beautiful? Ladies and gentlemen, Kathy McDaniel, the Saint McDaniel, as she's known in some circles. Um, I just wanted to give you a chance to any final thoughts today for the fine folks.
Final thoughts. Well, just the 7 words. Every morning I try to look in the mirror. It's, help me to be loving, kind, merciful, forgiving, encouraging, grateful, non-judgmental, and useful. And you will have a happy life.
Couldn't say it any better than myself. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us today. We love you. We appreciate you. And we hope you have a good one.